Good morning, Warriors! Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are on your purpose, continuing the battle and the fight, and continuing to keep on the goals and keeping the streak going. And I'm very blessed that I finally, after all these years, I have a long streak going. I think I'm at 907 or 8 days now, so we're moving ahead. But good luck. God bless you guys on your battle. Continue to fight. Continue not to give up. And that's what faith and hope is. So that's the key thing. We're going to kind of try to cover a couple at the same time for this one because I have a lot of these questions and ideas that come from women attraction. So we're going to continue focusing on this a little bit for this one. And then we'll kind of move on to some other ones. Thank you guys for all the comments. Subscriptions, we're at 920 something, so we're getting closer to that 1,000, our first goal, and then we'll continue onward after that. And once again, thank you for all the likes and the great comments. I had some good comments yesterday. Again, I'll do some shout outs probably in a couple days once I get a list together again. It's harder during the week because I'm kind of working, going back and forth, and it's a little easier to kind of compile them on the weekend and then talk about them on Monday or another episode. All right, so we got a couple different ones here, and we're going to talk about one by George Jetson, which I like. Shout out to you, George. It looks like they have seen a ghost when you're under semen retention, and that's a good one. I like that one. And then the other one is you're talking about fresh start. Strange that young women look at you. All right, so let's look at both of those for a second. I like those because I can kind of bring those together a little bit. So, two comments here. One by George Jetson. Thank you, George. Talking about how looks like they've seen a ghost. Okay, and I noticed I noticed this again yesterday, walking around, and you had several young women who are just staring at you. And this is a very interesting type of thing. So let's talk about this a little bit. All right, so let's start a little bit here, talking about the fact that when you have energy, your energy creates an aura. Now, back in the old days when I was growing up, I don't think as many people were releasing energy as now, and I could be wrong. It just doesn't make sense that happened. Because the auras, I felt the auras from people around me a lot more than I do now. And you could talk about high energy, low energy, and we'll talk about that maybe in a different video here. But the idea is that we're talking about an aura that comes from you. And again, we'll go back to the basics here. And maybe we make the assumptions we're making, and once again, we've had this discussion about whether this is a placebo effect or real. And I'll just go back to some of my science background and understanding that this is really real, that you're made up of energy and matter, and those things will be communicated to people out there based on who you are. And obviously, your mental attitudes, your physical being, all those things come out. But it's also the energy that people get attracted to. And so when you're releasing a lot of those energies and all those nutrients. And so you basically have low energy. You know this because, and I had a discussion with somebody yesterday about this. I was actually talking to my son, and we were talking about the fact that obviously when you have intercourse, you're dead tired. Or when you're releasing, you're dead tired. And so that tells you right away that you're releasing some energy. Something's happening. And you're getting exhausted. And you shouldn't be getting exhausted with that. Now we're not even talking about the brain and how it affects looking at pictures all day long and thinking about, the pictures and those things. That's a whole different discussion. But that's also a very dangerous type of thing. And you can look at thousands of videos and how bad this is. Now you'll unfortunately see a bunch of videos and say how good it is to eat too. And this is just remarkable to me, the matrix that we've been seeing over the last number of years when it comes to this. But because of technology, because it's a big industry, people have to try to support it. And so they're making it look like this is some kind of great thing when in fact it's destroying young men. And so when this happens, the only alternative you really have is to stop. You have to stop. But it's like on all kind of addictions. This stuff is addictive. And there's no doubt about that part of it. It's addictive. And I've seen that myself firsthand. But the key now is once you do this, and once you're able to harness some of this energy, and I think we talked about something yesterday that mentioned, one of our great viewers talked about the fact that it was 72 days. Let me see who said that. I thought that was wonderful. Do I have that on here? No, I'm sorry, I'd forgotten. One of our great viewers said it took 72 days to actually mature, to have the sperm mature, and I think that's a great comment. So 90 days really is probably where you would start seeing some initial benefits, and I think that probably was the case with me too. Now I do think if you're older, like myself, who I'm 61, I think you end up getting a lot of residue mentally and habitually, all these things, and it's harder and harder. It's harder to see that. But I would say 90 days is the key to it, because it does take a long time for the sperm to start staying in your body. And your body, is rejecting all of that because you're so used to releasing all the time that it's going to be a hard thing to do to begin with. And that's why people struggle with this all the time. So we go back to this idea that the key thing is that people, they're not used to seeing this level of energy. And they go through life, and this is why a lot of people go through life. They're depressed, they're anxious. I think 1 out of 4 people I heard, I think it's some kind of study I saw, 1 out of 4 people are taking some sort of pills or medicine to go to sleep. And, this is just remarkable to me. But the thing is, it all comes back down to the fact that we have low energies. And you could talk about a lot of things that contribute to that. I mean, obviously your diet, lack of exercise, those type of things. But everything starts in my book with the basic retention. It starts with you keeping your energies, keeping what God gave you, unless there was a profound reason to do it. I think that's the key to the whole thing. And once you do this, then all of a sudden people see you and they notice you. And it's a really an amazing thing, because I had never seen this before all these years. Like I said, I don't remember when I was 12 years old or what it was, but for me, this is the first time that I've ever seen these type of behaviors. I had a young lady yesterday just sitting there and just staring. I mean, I had to actually just put my hands in front of her. It was just like, it was amazing. It was an amazing reaction. And I've seen this with women, younger women, older women. It is like they've seen a ghost. Like George says, they've seen a ghost. It's like a deer in headlights. That's why I go back to that Dracula hypnotizing women. I mean, obviously it's not, not that hypnotizing in a sense, but what the underlying thing is below it is the fact that women do get hypnotized by the energy. And I thought I'd never see that, but I've seen that so many times now, it just is hard to disprove that something is happening. So when they sit there and look at you, now you're getting a lot of interesting looks from young women. Some women will just kind of reject it because they don't like your energy level. But a lot of that is because they have low energy level themselves and they can't match it. And some are just totally overwhelmed by it. So you will get a lot of, as Fresher starts talking about, you're going to get a lot of younger women, and I'm talking about, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, younger women in that category, 18 to 22, you're going to get a lot of them giving you very interesting looks because they had not seen this type of energy before. They can't make out what it is. I mean, obviously, young women, as they grow up, and I've had 2 daughters, so I've seen this, they are able to, they talk about, young boy, they talk about boys, men, since they're 11, 12 years old. Because obviously this is what women want to find mates, they want to reproduce, all that kind of stuff. And so they're going to talk about this early on because they want someone that's going to be able to nurture and help them with a family and things like that. And that hasn't changed no matter what you hear in the media, things like that. The thing is that, however, is the idea that when we're talking about trying to look at this, they are looking for people that have strong auras, energy levels. And obviously it makes you look a lot more attractive. And so now they're really looking at this, but they look like they've seen a ghost. And I think George is exactly right. You're getting a lot of strange looks, as Fresh Start talks about, because you're looking at an energy field, something that you see very rarely. You can just imagine all the people out there who are releasing energy, and there's millions are doing this all the time because they think it's the right thing to do. And I'm not going to judge them because I was there for a lot of years. But because of that, you're seeing a lot of men out there, and especially our young men. There are, and when I call young men, I'm talking 18 to 22. You're talking about a lot of young men who don't have energy, who have lack of energy. They're tired, no ambition. And if you follow behind the scenes, my guess would be you're seeing a lot of people who are releasing all the time. Because I know I've been there. But the thing is, when you're looking at this, when you look at this whole thing, the idea that you want to go ahead and look at is the fact that it's going to be different, right? It's going to be a different type of feeling. It's going to be something that's going to shine. That energy is a superpower. And that when energy is shown to other people, they'll sit there and stare like deers at a headlight. And basically what they're doing and saying is the fact that when you're looking at this, they are really going ahead and focusing on the fact that you are like a ghost to them, right? You're like a ghost. It's like something that they've never seen before. And this is why the attraction level goes sky high. Now, you're going to get some people, obviously, as I said before, rejecting it. They're going to go ahead and reject it because they just don't have that energy level, or it's something that they can't handle. And so they will give you some strange looks. Sometimes they'll give you some negative looks. And I've seen that happen before. And it's both females and males. So a lot of times they're not totally sure what they're seeing. But the strange look comes from the fact that they don't know, they haven't seen one of these energy levels. And obviously, the longer on the streak you are, the more stronger you become. I mean, it's just amazing. And talking to my son is got a streak going himself. And again, he's getting great. People are nicer to him. Of course they're nicer to him. Yes, of course. Because they sense that energy. And women have that innate sense. They have to, because if they're looking at mating and they're looking at trying to have children and procreate more and do all of these things to have the population move forward, they have an innate ability to read this stuff. And I think that's where you see them responding to a person who has a high level energy. They understand that you have this. Now, obviously, I can't quantify that, but if you talk with women about this, you could probably look and see what makes somebody attractive. They may not be able to tell you, because this may be a subconscious biological thing we're talking about. But they just want to be around this person who has this energy level. Now, again, this is a two-edged sword, because once you have, it's double edge here. When you're talking about this now, you have to also realize that you have to make the right choice. You're going to have so many options now, especially the young men that we look at this 25 to 34, who's kind of makes up primary the people in our audience. When you look at this, you're going to have to make a choice on what you really want to do. And like I said, I don't believe in having multiple partners all over the place. I think that's a waste of time and energy and your energy. I think, however, having one person to be able to spend time with and to be able to build a relationship and maybe one day marriage and kids and those things, that's a different story. But once again, you're always releasing energy. So you have to always be careful of the energy you're releasing. I guess that's my major point with all this. You can't just freely do it and have no purpose behind it. And I think this is where you get. But what you're going to have, because of the retention, and the longer you go on these streaks, and the more you build into a lifestyle, these things are going to be happening so much that all of a sudden you won't even notice it. People will be nice to you all over the place because they sense that you control yourself. And a man who controls himself is a true leader. This is why in our society we've been so messed up. We have very few men who can control themselves compared to the way it used to be. And this is where we got to get back to. Because what ends up happening is women lose respect. And they can't tell you once again what it is, but they can tell, certain behaviors, of course, but they basically lose respect. And so now they have to take the leadership roles, which a lot of them don't want to really do. They take the leadership roles because a lot of the men can't. Because they're losing energy. They are dead in the water. They're zombies. And then obviously, a lot of the women, we go back to that Beauty and the Beast thing, they want to soothe and they want that energy. And so they're the energy suckers. You have a lot of those people out there too. And so now you're looking at a combination of things which can really destroy a young man or a young woman through these things we do. And so when we look at this, you have to continue to build up your energy. You have to continue to use it. It's almost like a bank account. You're saving your energy. Because it's going to, and you're basically going to get compound interest on it. It's like a bank account. And you're going to be able to make it grow and grow and grow over time because of the fact that you're able to save. And you're controlling yourself by not spending it. And because of that, now you're getting stronger and stronger from a physical standpoint. And now you're able to kind of give that aura, that idea of how strong a super person you are. But of course, George is right. They will look at you as a ghost. It's almost like they've seen a ghost when you're on semen retention. And a Fresh Starts comment about strange looks, yeah. They're going to give you, it's going to be noticeable. And even after 907 days, I notice it. It's hard not to, because it's so different than what you're used to getting. At least what I'm used to getting. Most of us get normal looks, and people might be polite, but when you got people staring at you, and it's almost like they can't move. And like I said, the only analogy I can make is going back to the old vampire movies where my old guy, Bela Lugosi, is able to look at a woman, and she just can't move. Any kind of vampire movie, you see that in there. Now, that's kind of played into a fantasy type of thing. But in reality, I have seen this in action where a person is just sitting there. And I think it goes back to the energy. Now, you can kind of, hypothesize a little bit here with good old Dracula, who lived, was 150, 200 years old. You can freaking imagine if that guy is, he doesn't have to, procreate. He just gets his, he turns them into vampires. But there's a lot of analogies with that, and I have to kind of delve into it a little bit more because I think it's really a cool type of thing. But the thing is that he doesn't have to actually, let any of his energy go. So can you imagine 150 years of retention? I'm kind of joking, but I'm really not. You got 150 years of retention. No wonder this guy's got unbelievable energy. And of course, women will be looking at it like they're staring. They can't move. So when you look at this thing, it really makes a lot of sense if you think about it in those terms. If you think in terms of people as being energy, I think this is the key, that people don't always think about that. And they struggle with this idea of energy, thinking that people are energy, but they are. Because this is how we were all made. Because you know this, when someone passes away, their body there's something is missing. The body is there, but that's not really their body. It becomes hard as a rock. So what happens is inside of them, and it becomes an energy, a spirit, something moving out of them. And as a result of that, then we know all of that's like that. And this is why people get attracted by that sort of thing, because they're keeping those things inside of themselves, and they're making them stronger. So, all right, my friends. Well, thank you. A shout out both to Fresh Start and to our man George Jetson. Thank you guys very much for all your comments, and I appreciate both you guys participating with some great comments here about the same kind of topic that we're talking about. But again, you're going to get strange looks, as Fresh Starts talks about, and you're also going to get, like George saying, is that looks like they've kind of seen a ghost, because they're going to sit there and stare at you when you're on retention. Especially the longer you are, the longer they're going to sit there, and they don't know how to deal with it, and they haven't seen this before. So all of a sudden now they're dealing with a different type of energy. So, all right, my friends. Well, you guys have a wonderful day today. I hope you guys continue battling today. Battle on. And remember, every day is a new day to a wise warrior. So keep battling. And until next time, this is Vigor Warriors 2 signing off. And you guys have a great day. God bless you guys. Battle on.